You know how they say two is better than one, or it takes two to make a thing go right? Well, that's not always true of everything. Take, for example, strawberries and mustard, or hip hop and country, or my face and shaved faceness. So not everything is always better together, but a couple weeks back, Image and Form gave me a code for SteamWorld Quest, which I've been playing on the Switch, and I've got to say it's been bringing this topic to mind as of late. How can two things be brought together to make something even better? So I was wondering, what are some various ways the games have approached this in the past and succeeded? So with that, let's take a look. As you can probably tell by this room, not only do I love Nintendo, but I also love music. Playing it, listening to it, and whatever else you can do with music. But these days it's really hard to be truly original without diving off the deep end and sounding a bit like garbage. So one way to create a great new experience is to blend different musical genres to make something new. So kind of take a best of both worlds type situation. Along those lines, some of my favorite bands are Punch Brothers, Plini, Delta Sleep, Polienzo, Jacob Man Big Band, and a bunch of other ones, all of whom respectfully blend together different genres to create something new. Okay, I know you're asking at this point, Parker, what does this have to do with games? Good question. Well, in the same way that there are musical genres, there are also game genres. So blending these together requires really the same kind of finesse. And it's almost similarly impossible to create a game that truly doesn't fit into an already pre-existing genre. But I have found that there are some games that are carefully crafted to mix multiple different genres into their lifeblood, and it's worth taking note of. To start off with, the game that inspired this topic in the first place, SteamWorld Quest. Actually, even before this game, I'd played Image and Form's critically acclaimed most recent release, SteamWorld Dig 2, which seamlessly blended the Metroidvania gameplay along with a digging and world exploration likened to Dig Dug. And specifically reminded me of a Flash game that I played in 8th grade called Motherload, which brought back a ton of memories. After the release of SteamWorld Dig 2, fans really hoped that Image and Form would try to tackle an RPG next, but they decided to go about it differently than we'd expected. Their director, Brian Sirgeson, said the following to Nintendo Life. This time we decided to make a card battle RPG. Next time it's likely going to be something else again. It's a long story, but we really want to continue making different kinds of games. It's a very expensive way to make games and potentially dangerous, as we risk taking the wrong turns every time and or alienating our community. But we're confident in our abilities, and more importantly, everyone only lives once. As he mentions, there is risk involved, but oftentimes that's what makes something great. There are too many games that are frankly less than interesting just because they're playing it safe doing what we've seen before. Risk makes things like the Switch, like Breath of the Wild, and like SteamWorld Quest. So since I've spent quite a while with the game now, how does it accomplish these goals? The game blends a traditional fantasy RPG setting with the classic SteamWorld robot character setup and uses the battle system of a deck-building card game. The first blend of robots and a fantasy setting is unique, but is accommodated by simple means of beautiful art style, detail-oriented world building, and quirky, self-aware humor. Along these lines, anything thematic can probably fit if you just commit well enough. But the real question is with gameplay. How do you take elements from two completely different form factors and package them together seamlessly? Well, first, let's take a look at a game that attempted a similar setup in the past. Paper Mario Sticker Star and Color Splash are RPGs that also have card-based mechanics. These games also have quirky and fun worlds and are truly rooted in the foundation of the Mushroom Kingdom, which means they also borrow some core elements of platforming, and there's also puzzle solving and so on. But specifically, the way that it handled the card-based combat is where the games are often criticized. Sticker Star introduced the concept of collecting stickers, which are then used in battle, but are legitimately used up. Although it may reward some exploration, which is very fun, that is the kind of mechanic that makes a lot of RPG fans hoard resources, preparing for the battle where you'll really need it, by which point you'll probably get better cards anyway and have not used something when it would have been actually beneficial. Absolutely, there are varying opinions on the game, but I don't really believe at the crux of it that Intelligent Systems tried to blend actual card game gameplay with their RPG, but rather they thought cards would be a cool tool to make their game better, but it sort of hurt the integrity of the combat system, which is at the core of most RPGs. On the other hand, here's how it turned out with SteamWorld Quest. A core feature of RPGs is leveling up your characters and/or abilities. At first, this seems contrary to a card game, because fixed strength cards would inherently become obsolete as enemies get harder, and most card games are based around cards that do things like inflict 110 HP of damage or heal 40 HP for 3 turns. But this is where a video game can do things that would be altogether too cumbersome for a tabletop game. The potency of these cards is based off the same kinds of mechanics that most RPGs use: percentages. You don't need to figure these out, as a card will display the calculated value and only the descriptions include the percentage details. But what this means for gameplay is that as your character increases in level, so will your cards. So I've got a couple of cards that I received at the start of the game that I still use to this day because they're simple enough and get the job done. So this isn't a full-on review of the game, this is just a topical example of a broader conversation of how games in the industry should mix genres together. However, I actually just uploaded at the same time on our Directly to You channel a Let's Play of this specific game. So after this video, go ahead and head over there to watch me playing through SteamWorld Quest a little bit if you want to get a bit more exposure. But we'll keep on going with the video in the meantime. Looking more broadly at the topic, Image & Form is certainly not the first developer to do this well. As I thought about it, there's already whole genres that do this in just their titles. For example, puzzle platformers, action adventure, sports RPG, horror survival party games, math rhythm, real-time strategy games, and other such lovely nonsense. So here are a couple games that I thought excelled at mixing genres. I mentioned sports RPG, which may have sounded like a fake genre, but in this case does apply, and it is done incredibly well in the game Golf Story. This is a spiritual successor to Camelot's well-loved Mario Golf Game Boy games, but did its job almost flawlessly. Major factors for RPGs are leveling up skills, a primary protagonist or party, and a developing story. Golf Story implemented all of these, but also included the RPG tropes of side quests, customizable levels and equipment, and checking drawers for money. In the same way that fighting an enemy in an RPG becomes easier as you level your skills, playing the same course at a higher level also becomes easier in Golf Story. There is certainly player skill involved, but you could also grind a bunch or earn better equipment to bridge a difficult gap. None of this was absolutely necessary to create a good golf game, but it really brought it to life. And as I said, it pulled inspiration from the Mario Golf Game Boy games, which were developed by Camelot, which segues us right into Camelot. That's not all that they developed. They also developed a wonderful little RPG series called Golden Sun. And the following is specifically about the Game Boy Advance games. At first glance, this series may not appear to be doing anything particularly special. It seems like a regular turn-based RPG. However, it pulls in lots of favors from other genres and mechanics to do something truly impressive. Specifically, what Golden Sun does is pull in puzzles in a way that most other RPGs don't. There is a lot of critical thinking to be done, and many secrets can be overlooked or unaccomplished if you don't take the time to figure them out. Zelda games and many other RPGs certainly incorporate puzzles, but there are some bonus areas in the first Golden Sun game that I simply could not complete when I first played as a 9-year-old because the puzzles got progressively more challenging, although also rewarding. You receive many skills in the game, and although some are purely battle skills, many are also used in the overworld, specifically in puzzles, adding a foundation of significant depth to an already immersive game. I don't know when more classic games are going to come to the Switch. It's gotta be soon. But if you haven't played Golden Sun yet and Game Boy Advance games come to the Switch, I implore you, please play these games. And there's a ton of other franchises and games that do this well. The ones that come to my mind are Aegis Defenders, Dragon Quest Builders, the Fallout series, and Super Smash Bros., and a whole bunch more. The big picture can be even broader too. If you're a creator, this is just inspiration for you to not just try to copy one specific thing, but to take inspiration from a whole lot of different sources and then blend it together in a way that matters to you specifically. Create something that only you could because of what you care about. And subsequently, a lot of the videos on fanatixfour are kind of about this same thing anyway. So go watch some videos from AJ and Logan, how they thought you could do this on Donkey Kong, F-Zero, Ice Climbers, and a bunch more. But that's what I think. What do you think? What are some video game genres that you'd love to see blended together, but maybe just haven't happened yet? Or otherwise, games that do this, that you enjoy the way that they blend together these genres. Leave some comments about that and more down below in the comment section. Talk to some other people down there and leave a like on the video. That would be great. Most importantly, subscribe and follow the channel for more videos like this one every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And we'll pick out some of those comments for the Saturday show, which is our podcast on the Directly to You channel, which is the same place that SteamWorld Quest video that I talked about earlier is going to be right now. So go on over and check that out, please. Please, that would be great. Well, that's it for me. I'll see you next week.